Today on What Went Wrong, we talk about compromise in reality. Hi, I'm Brett Mauser, and I've made over 40 feature films. And one of the things that I have the toughest time with is reality. Not reality itself. I think I have a pretty decent grasp on that, but that's the problem. Is I think I'm a little bit of a different filmmaker because, first of all, I think this maybe even plays into the psychology of a little bit. Is I am conservative, so reality does have a lot to play in when I'm writing a screenplay and trying to think up action scenes in particular.
Yeah.
As I grow and as I become more educated as how firearms work and things like that, that becomes an essential milestone because I am a pragmatist in terms of the way that, you know, if this works, it's going to work. And from a I love history. Yeah. So from a historical basis, I know that, oh, well, this isn't going to work because it's never worked in the past.
Right.
Like communism.
Sorry. Tried it several times, millions dead. Not a good idea.
So that plays a lot into why my films aren't, you know, yet I'll delve into time travel in these science fiction areas. But I think that's one of the great things about things like Star Trek and even Westerns in terms of expressing ideas and especially social issues that are going on. It gives a great place to test your theories and to show the possible outcomes, like my film Green Conspiracy.
Right.
You know, it was sort of an anti-environmental piece, and one of my proudest moments is being able to send that to all these environmental film festivals, knowing that they had to watch this film. It goes against everything they believe in. So
trolling the film festival.
So I have that creativity and that imagination, but yet I've got a foot and a half in reality.
Yeah.
So that's where you kind of come into play when it starts coming into the action, you know, the action scenes, the gunfights.
Right.
But I also have to make the film entertaining.
Right.
And
that's not my problem.
Yeah. and make it so that people want to see this and show them something they haven't seen before. Right. So that's the tightrope that I walk. And that's something we've talked about many times over the years.
Yeah.
And I think and this is where the compromise comes in, is we've both sort of met in the middle.
We did. I was always, I mean, we didn't grow up together, but we grew up kind of in the same way, same area. And so we had the same ideas on things. For many things. And talking about reality having a base. I'm very scientific. I was science-based. My major in school was science.
You fly planes.
I fly airplanes. Science is a big part of physics and science and all that stuff is a big part of what I do.
Yeah. If science had give or take, then you...
If science had give or take, then I'd be like a lot more. But I mean, pretty much once something happens in a certain direction, everybody dies. So we know to keep it on that side of the bad. So when it comes to, and one of the things actually we've been talking about, we talk about a lot of the stuff with y'all aren't around because, you know. But anyway, one of the things that we talked about was how I really had to make a turn because I was like, no, specifically speaking of gunfights, it happens like this, it does that, there's none of that crap, what are you doing? And
my experience comes from watching John Woo films.
John Woo films, which are fantastic. I love me a good John Woo film. You know, I really do. I've always liked. I mean, since the first time you showed me back in 1990, it was. I mean, the John Woo films have always been something, but you still had to have some kind of basis in reality. And I made a hard turn to realize that. Yeah, it has to be real. It has to be this, but it also has to be entertaining. Or who the hell cares? You know, because I'll be honest with you. I mean, most gunfights that happen. They happen quick. If you're talking about like a shooting out in the streets, they happen in a matter of seconds. I mean, from the time it starts to the time it ends, you will have 1 to 4 or 5 shots, and it goes by in seriously 2 or 3 seconds, and that's it. Not very interesting for a movie. Whereas you have to be able to develop a scene and tell a story within the scene with the medium of film and the action being bullets flying back at each other, because the stakes are usually pretty seriously high. Unless they're one of the Highlanders, then who cares? But the stakes are pretty high. And so I had to understand that, yes, it has to be this, but it has to be entertaining. And how can we use my input and your input to come to the middle and make something that is entertaining and good? It's easier now. But yeah, 10, 15 years ago, oh my God, we were always, But yeah, you're absolutely right.
Well, yeah, and Hollywood has done a lot of bad, I guess you could say, in terms of miseducating
bad.
people. Prime example.
Silencers being the big one.
Yeah, well, I'll give you another one, and this is delving into the old conspiracy theories.
Right.
One of the reasons that the JFK assassination conspiracy is so prevalent, and probably one of the main things that is still around today is because of back and to the left, back and to the left. And there have been great shows like Penn and Teller who have debunked that.
They've shown that.
You could go. That works.
You could go to Detroit and see the car, which I've done, and you're like, oh,
yeah,
it's obvious.
Yeah. So from my perspective, there's always that hurdle that I can't get over, because if I go and have somebody walking down the street and they get shot from behind, and I have them do this and kick back, even though they've been shot from behind, and they do that, even though it's accurate, my audience is going to get booted.
Right.
Because what they've come to understand is that, that if they get shot from the front, their head's going to go like this. Or they get shot from behind, their head's going to do that. But the bullet goes in very easily, right through. But as it's going through, it's dragging all of this matter with it. And when it exits, it explodes. And that exploding force is what
physics being what it is, and with a lot of mass going one direction, you get equal and opposite reaction. The head will snap back. You're right.
So as Kennedy is being driven along and he's shot from the back, it goes in very easily, but explodes out, which throws his head back.
Right.
And
we probably should have put a warning on this. Graphic content. Sorry, sweetheart. Your 6-year-old's going to be very upset.
I'll just cover it with little drawn.
Anyway, you were saying.
Film. So when I get on set and I'm doing that, I have to make that conscious decision. Well, he's getting shot, but I've got to have him do this. Got to have him go like that, and then throws, then fall back. So there is that compromise where I have to make, because I know that even though it's real, my audience isn't going to buy it.
Right.
So I get that. I get where where you are, because you understand. Well, that's not the way it would happen. But
yeah, there's a compromise, and there's a compromise to be made all the way around. One of the big things is shotguns. You see shotguns, and people get hit by a shotgun, they go flying across the room. And I'm like, holy hell, what was that thing? Because once again, equal and opposite reaction. If I'm launching something big enough and heavy enough to make a 200-pound man go flying across the room, this thing I'm holding is also going to make this 250-pound man fly across the room. There's all kinds of science behind it, and it's important, and it's real. And once again, me being scientific, it's this, it's this, it's this. But you can't. So you can't. People want to see that. People want to see the boom and he goes flying across, because people go, holy crap, kind of stuff.
Yeah, there's a scene in Innocent Saga where Jade shoots Diamond with the shotgun. And
it's awesome scene.
The reaction. I mean, I did not expect to have that reaction in the theater.
Right.
Everyone loved it.
Oh yeah.
Oh! And
complete bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they love the reaction. So what do? We leave it in there. Because, well, you leave it there. I wasn't there. But it's just one of those things. And I get it. I dig it. And like I said, it's one of the things that I had to come to realize. I had a little come to Jesus one time, and I realized, Jeff, a gunfight between two groups of people of 4 or 5 in a certain situation could take a minute, maybe.
What you just described is a perfect example of one of the scenes in chapter 6 where Tara and Montoya are in a bar and this hit team just comes in.
Right.
And I believe I gave you direction to, Jeff, this one's yours. Do it how it would happen.
Yeah, and you said get them out. You said get them from where they are in the bar out the back door, and it can be as fast as you need it to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so go for people who may be wanting to choreograph a scene like this. Take us through the steps. How do you do that? How do you choreograph a fight scene?
There's certain things you need to understand, and part of this as a director is you need to go and shoot, so you could see how things happen and realize how fast a magazine of ammunition will go. Your typical magazines of most weapons you're going to be using, the Berettas or the Glocks or whatever. These Glocks are very popular. Everyone's got them. Pretty much your hit team's going to have a Glock. You know. There are 15 rounds in a typical 9mm, which is also the most prevalent round. 15 rounds per magazine. Okay, so go shoot 15 rounds, and you see that if you're shooting, 1 round a second, which is bang, 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 you got 15 seconds. That's it. But if you're in the middle of a gunfight, it's going to be bang, 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 bang. And that ammunition is going to leave leave the magazine in like 5 to 6 seconds. And you're going to drop the magazine, reload, and then go to the next thing. But the thing is, every time you use a magazine, that's an empty magazine. And you are now running out of ammunition. Whenever I'm walking around, typically, I carry a magazine in my weapon. Like I said, when I was doing like security operations, and I actually had a pistol. Never carried one in the military. Well, once in the military. But in security operations, when I had a rifle and a pistol, my pistol would have a magazine in it and then 2 spares. That's it. 45 rounds is all I ever had because my pistol was a backup. Okay, my rifle was mine. But even then, and I carried a lot of ammunition as a guy, and I would carry anywhere from 7 to 10 magazines. Okay, that's 210 to 300 rounds. That's not a lot of ammunition in a gunfight. So you have to understand. You have to figure out is how long you want this thing to go, because otherwise you're going to have to figure out how to get more ammunition, or set it up to where someone's actually saying, "Bob, Jesus, Bob, you're bringing 6 magazines?" And if you go, you never know. Like in Fireflies, would be nice to have some grenades. Because it would have been nice to have grenades.
I do have a couple of grenades, though.
Are those for real?
What the hell would I be walking around with fake grenades for?
And you say you're an accountant?
Yes. I mean, admittedly, not a very good one.
Or have your guy bring grenades. Why do you have grenades? You never know.
I think I lost a grenade.
You lost a grenade.
Maybe 2.
But set that up beforehand. Don't get in the middle of this filming this thing and all of a sudden realize you need to have this guy through 100 rounds. Holy hell, Secondly, you need to understand that if your people are in a gunfight, people are shooting back at them, they can't just stand there. One of the principles that I learned in the military, and I was on the operations teams, and when I learned when I was in security ops and on a protection team, was anytime rounds start flying, anytime bullets start coming out, you got to do one of 3 things, but you have to do at least one of 3 things, preferably the first one, which is move. You can't just stand there. You have to move, okay? You have to shoot, okay? And you have to communicate. If you can move and shoot at the same time, that's good. Unfortunately, look at that, bang. Unfortunately, that's difficult to do. And you're going to have to understand that if you're running, okay, if you have your guy running and he's got his pistol and he's running towards something, he's not hitting anything. Anything he hits is going to be a lucky shot. So if you have him running, or her, running at something while they're shooting, and you get boom, 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 this bad guy with 3 or 4 shots to the head, if they're not RoboCop, no one's going to buy it. Really? Maybe if you're John Woo, but John Woo can do that. You cannot. You need to move, you need to run, and you need to be able to talk to whoever you're talking to. And then you have to understand that there's a difference between cover and concealment. Cover is a brick wall. Cover is a bunch of rocks on the ground. Whereas they can shoot and hit. If you're hiding behind this thing and they're hitting that thing, it's going to protect you from the bullets. That's cover. Concealment means you could hide behind something like a wall in your house. But if someone shoots at the wall in your house, it's going to go through the wall.
That drives me nuts now when I see somebody hiding behind a table a wooden table.
Wooden table's not going to help
All
you.
these bullets hitting the table, and I'm like, well, they're f***ed.
Yeah. Unless he's shooting like a BB gun at you, a table is not going to help you. Now, if the table is 3/4 inch steel, okay, that'll be fine. That'll help you out. But if you could knock a 3/4 inch steel table over, probably not having the same movie that we're in. You're probably filming a superhero movie. And in that case, just pick the table up and throw it at them.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the rest of it. So you need to be able to hide behind something. You need to be able to get there. Now, if you want to run while you're shooting, that's fine. Because if I'm running at a target or moving at a target, we have a thing called a tactical walk, which everyone has seen the Nito Jiwas guys doing this stuff. It's called a tack walk. And we'll do the tack walk so we can move while we're shooting. And I can be very, very, very accurate doing a tack walk. But it took me a lot of time to learn that. And it has to be done in a very specific manner. And there's all kinds of stuff. And there's enough guys nowadays, English is so hard sometimes, who have been in the military, who've done the tack walk, that we're going to go, so, but if you do it right, we're like, oh, yeah, well, we love it. So they have to be able to move, they have to be able to shoot, and they have to be able to talk to each other. The problem with talking is when bullets are going, one of the things you have to realize, unless you're wearing ear protection, like I always, whenever I was in an ops team, I always had hearing protection that was almost like a hearing aid. Okay, and as I started shooting, it would actually block out the thing. But if you're not wearing something like that, and you start shooting, the conversation is going to sound like, wee. That's all you're going to hear.
Put your earplugs in.
All I hear is.
Especially if you're inside.
Oh yeah.
If you've ever been inside of a building,
Yeah, well, there was a scene in the ballerina where I was just re-editing, and it's again one of those moments where they shoot somebody inside of a car, and of course, one of the characters like but the other characters get out and they do their thing.
Are you already deaf? They may be already deaf.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's if you shoot someone inside of an enclosed space. The pistol I love to shoot. I have a SIG 226, the 9mm. It's a fantastic little pistol. But when you shoot it, it's like 135 decibels, 140 something decibels. That's a jet airplane going over your head. Okay, and me being around jet airplanes a lot, that's exceptionally loud, and it will permanently. Well, I'll give you an example. Linda Hamilton, Sarah Connor,
yeah.
Who, by the way, Linda, I love you so much. You're my absolute favorite. When she was in Terminator 2 and she fired that gun inside that elevator, she ruined her hearing because she forgot to have her hearing protection in because something, and she messed up her hearing permanently. She has permanent hearing damage, okay, in an elevator. Think about that for a second. How the shooting is going to affect what you're doing, okay? So when you're talking about communicating, we're not talking about sitting next to someone and talking. Like we're talking, that's not going to happen. If we've been shooting guns inside of a building and we're sitting down, we're screaming at each other. And I'm going to be looking at your mouth to see what you're saying. Because even though you're yelling at me, all I hear is, wee, with you. So I need to be, you need to take that into account. Now, if that doesn't fit in your movie, that's fine. I understand that you're trying to film a movie and it's not how it's going to be for real. I get it. But that's the reality of the situation. With Tara and Montoya, you had 4 or 5 guys coming into the room. It was a darkened building. First of all, a terrible idea for these guys. It was when Montoya and Tara are coming out. Those guys are coming in that mid room. Okay, from outside where it's bright, inside where it's dark. They're automatically at a disadvantage because their night vision's shot. And Tara and Montoya see them coming, and the thing I had them do first was realize the hazard, realize we need to go, and they're already looking for a way out. Okay. In the meantime, they need to start moving toward that exit. And if the gunplay comes, wait for it as long as you can. Okay? But once it starts, you need to pour a large volume of fire in that direction. Accuracy is not important. Okay? So in that case, you're doing what they call covering fire, which is or enfilade fire, which you're just trying to throw bullets at that direction to hit what you might hit. If they're just bunched together, you'll hit what you might hit. But it's more about to get them down or get them running or disperse them from being in that area of concentrated fire. And you'll hit a bunch of them because they're all bunched together. You can just kind of point at that direction as you're running across, and you don't even have to purple walk. You don't even have to tack walk. You just go. But as you're going, You can be looking, but shoot as you go, and don't aim. Just bang, 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 bang. Just at that direction. And then when you arrive where you are, get under something, reload. Whether you are empty or not, reload. It's called tack reload. Attack reload, and get ready to go again with another 15 rounds.
And this is why I love John Woo stuff, and I say if that's the kind of film you want to make it, do it, but don't. But pick one or the other.
Right.
If you have that tactical, strategic style in your, and you play by the rules of the reality, then stick with that. Then don't all of a sudden shift into a John Woo style fight.
Like you couldn't have Lone Survivor as a John Woo movie.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And the way I would say that it's fine to, and a great comparison is musicals. In reality, people don't break into song and start singing about their feelings.
Right.
Well, I'm sure in some cultures.
Some places they do, but doesn't happen around here much.
Right. Well,
Kind of wish it would.
because you're in a movie, you're watching it, and that's one direction of suspension disbelief, But you understand that's the universe that you're
Right.
in. That's
That's the rules of their universe.
When you're watching a movie like John Woo, you are watching what and I've actually wanted to make a movie called Ballistic Ballet.
Yeah.
That's what you're watching.
That's a fantastic term, too.
Yeah. It's because that it's not reality, but it's beautiful.
Yeah.
John
Wick is something like that.
Yeah.
John Wick straddles that line really, really well. It's ballistic ballet because his stuff is intense. I go into a John Woo movie, I know what I'm expecting from a John Woo movie. I see John Wick, I saw the very first one, and I didn't know anything about it. I just knew I like Keanu Reeves. And I heard he'd been practicing. I'd seen him practicing doing three-gun drills, which are hard as hell. And he was working like a mad. He's a hard worker anyway. And I wanted to show my appreciation by watching this movie. And I started watching it. And I realized pretty quickly we're talking about a John Woo movie. Okay. But that being said, the stuff he is doing, like the tactical reloads, the way he moves, the way he fights, something as stupid as aiming, the way he aims, and the devices he uses to aim. So it's ballistic ballet, but he's also doing all the ballistic stuff absolutely correct.
It is a style of art form.
Yeah.
And when you go in, if I'm watching the Avengers and they start breaking out in song, you've lost me. Mm-hmm. But if I go into Sound of Music, I can watch a music. They can break into song, and I'm like, got it. That's what they're doing.
Disney movies, I watch them. I love Disney movies. And when Rapunzel breaks into music and she's like this, and Flynn's like, "Why is everybody singing?" That's me, But I get it. Yeah. That's your universe.
Yeah. Oh, now you know how to put a gunfight in your movie. And knowing is half the battle. And 25% red lasers and 25% blue lasers.
That's a lot of lasers.